Welcome to the Real Estate Fight Club.
Oh yeah, I am ready to fight with our guest today.
We are honored today to have Jesse Zagorski. Welcome, Jesse.
Yay.
What's going on, guys? How are you?
Welcome.
So today, Jen and I and Jesse are gonna probably, fight a little bit about what are the top 3 mistakes, or are you making one of the top 3 mistakes in communicating with your clients? What are the top 3 mistakes we're making in today's modern age, kind of texting, emailing, and DMing?
This is tip number 1, the black to white ratio.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys are doing this. We haven't texted that much. We haven't DM'd, but I'm going to imagine that you probably do it because everyone does this. You are violating the black to white ratio. Here's what it is. In a message, black is the text, white is the space around it.
Okay.
You are writing emails that are these big blocks of text messages that are like a page of scrolling, or at least one thing. Maybe you guys aren't doing that, but without any line breaks in between, without any bullet points, without anything. Are you guys guilty of that?
No, I'm a bullet pointer.
Okay.
I've received messages like that, and I know what you're talking about. It's very
for sure.
read.
Very hard. If you look in your phone, it would take about 30 seconds to find an email or a text.
Yeah.
Just got one a little bit ago from a client that did a bunch of research on past comps. I didn't even read it. I was like, okay, fine. He did his research. That's great. Good job,
baby.
See, but we can't change how our clients are going to communicate. But when we respond back, some people have a tendency to write this long paragraph message back. Don't do it. Break it into bullet points. Like that's where you want to make it easier for them to digest. And when you write an email, most people are reading your emails on a cell phone.
Right.
We write them on a computer, but they're reading them on a phone. So you're going to write this email that looks great. And then you look at it on the phone and it's just like this big block of text still.
Yes.
No one's going to read your stuff. But I'm saying more like break up the words, whether it's leaving blank lines in your text, using emojis, bullet points. Like I use the green checkbox emoji as a bullet point in a text message.
Yeah, I like it.
What about other emojis?
Depends on your style. Depends who you're writing to. I treat emojis like digital rapport, right? So in real life, if we were like, no, I'm like, we're all nodding our heads together, right? On Zoom right now, we're all nodding our heads. If your clients use emojis, I tend to use emojis. If they don't, I don't. I use whatever they do, but I'm still going to be me. The point of all this is you authentically have to be yourself. If you are not, it feels so weird. Like don't use emojis if you don't normally use them, but like.
Yeah, so, I agree with your first point of like, if it's long, like create some space so that, because there are so many different types of people and a lot of people do read in a list. It's very few people that enjoy like paragraph reading. All
right. So ready for number 2?
Let's go number 2.
Number 2, you ready? Okay. I believe most people are making the mistake of not rereading their messages before they send them. And even better,
100%.
They're not rereading them out loud.
Oh, wow.
Wait,
I feel
if I had a visual like thing, I could go guilty, like red on my forehead right now. Right? I would so freaking go guilty.
And
I'm in
here's
such
where
a hurry, Jesse.
What? So look, so if I just slowed down, half of the mistakes in my career probably would have been avoided. And think about when you get a text message. Unless you speed read or skim, when you're in the small minority of people, you probably read it in your head, in your own voice, or maybe it's like, hi, whatever voice you hear in your head. But like people read things and they hear the voice in their head. You get, right? You guys get that?
Yes.
So when you stop and read it out loud, 1, it slows you down. Number 2, you can hear what it's going to sound like. And you're like, oh, that doesn't mean what I think it meant.
Yeah.
Or it's something just totally wrong. Funny story. My mother, who likes doing voice to text, is my business partner, is now in her mid-70s, probably the next 10 years ago, once told a client to go F himself using autocorrect. It wasn't even F himself. It was all spelled out. Like it was like, I don't know if I can curse on this podcast or not, but like, and it was to one of our luxury high-end clients as a buyer. And we were in a group text and I called her. I was like, do you know what you just sent? She's like, no. And she looked, she's like, oh, and so the funny part there is, what was she typing into her phone on a regular basis that the phone thought it was important to autocorrect it?
How much was she saying that? Yeah, right.
Yeah, there's so many different little rules, but I just wanted to give it a quick bonus tip. So this is not like a cardinal sin, people, or if you're not doing this, you're not really like violating a rule. And this might be a good one that we can fight about, Jennifer. Okay, ready?
I'm ready.
I believe pictures and GIFs, especially in a text message, are amazing. And we should use them as long as it's in rapport with the client.
Yes.
Whenever possible.
I love it.
Oh,
so
I
much.
like GIFs.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me you hate them. Okay. So
I
again,
thought you'd say no, Jen.
yeah, I thought you said no too.
No, I like GIFs. I don't know.
Can I tell you why?
Yeah.
Why?
Because a lot of what we do in real estate is serious and it's stressful. And anytime you can lighten the mood, I'm not talking mock it or be just like ridiculous, but like if you can have a little fun and it goes with your personality or just at least lighten it slightly at the appropriate moment, I just think it goes a long way to helping your clients make it through what's a pretty big stressful time for a lot of clients.
For sure.
Monica, do you have a tip?
Here's what I'm thinking as we're talking about this. And I appreciate this conversation because I'm going back through like, how do I operate? Because I'm definitely a phone person. I'm of a certain age and I like the convenience of a text, but I think what I look at is this more of a yes, no, or a finite answer that I'm looking for? Then that's text worthy or text acceptable. If I feel like this requires any sort of discussion and that I can add value and they might have a question, I am just going to pick up the phone. I feel like a text is like a Hershey kiss and a conversation is like a big giant bar of chocolate. You know what I mean? Like I want to provide the big bar of chocolate. I think.
But are you going to schedule the call? Are you going to send a text or whatever and say, hey, when do you have 10 minutes for a call?
If I know that they have a job that they don't have a lot of freedom, like I have clients right now that they have no freedom. So I'm like, call me when you're on a break. She's a nurse. Call me when you're on a break, or what time do you get off today? I need 5 minutes of your time. So I think at the end of a deal, if I've had conversations with them, it feels like better service. And I'm open to being wrong about that, but that's just how I feel. What do you think about the voice texting features that almost every phone has now where is that just defeats the purpose because they can't listen to it in the meeting they're in?
Yeah, it depends on the client. So I went through the first year. I hated voice to text because I hated it because I couldn't multitask. And then I realized I shouldn't be reading their message while I was doing something else anyway. And now I find it really efficient because I have so many inbound messages during the day. I can't call everybody back. And it's a really fast way. Someone will say, hey, you got 5 minutes to talk. And my answer is like, no, I don't, because I know who they are. I don't know. So I'm just like,
and it's never 5 minutes.
I'm like, drop me an audio message because that forces them.
That works.
It's really what I feel like one of my roles is in doing real estate for 20 years, something I'm knowing how to ask questions. And like, if not every agent's going to be on the other side of the deal is going to be as experienced as you are.
Right.
You need to know how to guide them through and ask questions and like get out the information you need to get out.
Yeah, but answering questions before they're asked too. Like there was a point, and I don't remember what year it was, but I was like, oh, if my clients are calling me, asking me questions, that means I haven't reached out to them.
Mm-hmm.
So if my clients are calling me, I'm like, oh, I get so angry. I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like I need to be reaching out
more proactive. Yeah.
You know?
So the next episode you guys should have an expert on self-acceptance.
Oh,
because if you get that angry every time your client calls you, you must be so frustrated all the time.
I'm always angry.
It's been a long 20 years. Yeah. Right. Real quick. I heard a communication tip that applies in our agent world, which is tell them what you're going to do it, and then tell them that you did it. And I think we forget that last part so often.
Especially
we do these things we promised. We're good people. We did them mostly. And we forgot to circle back. And that's the piece that gets the greatest satisfaction out of the relationship. And we just don't do it.
So that's where, before you wrap this up, that's where text comes in, because when someone sees it in writing, they can refer back because they forget. They're like, oh, you did do this thing. Versus if you say it out loud, it's great too. If you want to like immediately go into an organic conversation and get a referral, that's great too. But having it in text is like, oh, it scratches that anxiety itch of like, oh, it's done. And I've got written proof that it's done.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Love that.
I think they should text you, Jen, but call Monica, it sounds like.
That's right.
Exactly.
Jesse, that was the perfect little bow on this session. Very good.
Thank you, Jesse. Appreciate it.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Yeah.
Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a podcast.